The Zephyrian scout ship Whisper drifted silently through the asteroid field, its sensors focused on the peculiar metal construct ahead. Commander Vexali studied the readings with growing confusion, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence as he processed. The data. It appears to be some form of communication beacon, reported his science officer, Krilta. The energy signature is minimal, broadcasting on primitive frequencies. Nothing that could threaten our fleet. Vexali's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. For 3 cycles, the Zephyrian Dominion had been expanding into this spiral arm, encountering nothing but silent worlds and the remnants of long-dead civilizations. This beacon was the first sign of active technology they'd found. Any indication of the species that built it? Vexali asked. The construction appears crude, Krilta replied, his tone dismissive. Carbon-based metallurgy, basic fusion power, source. Whoever built this is centuries behind our technology. The commander made his decision. Disable it. We can't have primitive signals interfering with our colonization efforts. The Whisper's weapons charged, and a concentrated plasma burst struck the beacon. For a moment, it seemed to dim. Then, unexpectedly, the construct's lights shifted from peaceful blue to an ominous red. Sir, Krilta's voice carried a note of alarm. The beacon's signal just changed frequency and increased in power by a factor of 50. Before Vexali could respond, the space around them seemed to tear open. A massive shape emerged from what the crew would later learn was called a jump gate, though they had no words for the technology at the time. The vessel that appeared dwarfed their scout ship, its hull scarred with battle damage and bristling with weapons they couldn't identify. Then another ship appeared. And another. Fleet Admiral Chen to unknown vessel. A voice crackled through. Their communication system, somehow translated into perfect Zephyrian. You have just attacked a United Earth Defense Force early warning beacon. Explain your actions immediately. Vexali's crew exchanged bewildered glances. The translator was working, but the underlying tone of the transmission carried something they'd never encountered before, controlled fury mixed with absolute confidence. This is Commander Vexali of the Zephyrian Dominion, he transmitted, back. We are claiming this system for our people. Your beacon was interfering with our operations. The response was immediate. Interfering? Commander, that beacon was placed there to monitor exactly the kind of aggressive expansion you just described. You have 15 minutes to withdraw from this system before we consider you a hostile invasion force. Through the viewports, Vexali watched in growing horror as more human ships continued to pour through the gate. The vessels weren't elegant, like Zephyrian craft or imposing like the Quellian Empire's dreadnoughts. They were functional, brutal things that looked like they'd been built for one purpose only. Sir, whispered his tactical officer, I'm reading weapons signatures unlike anything in our databases, and they're ships. They're not just armed, they're overarmed. Some of these vessels carry enough firepower to crack a moon. Vexali tried to maintain his composure. A show of force, nothing more. How many primitive worlds have we seen try to intimidate with crude displays? Contact Admiral Thexmore. Tell him to bring the Third Fleet. But even as he spoke, doubt crept into his voice. The human ships moved with a precision that spoke of extensive combat experience, and their formation patterns were unlike anything in Zephyrian tactical doctrine. Admiral Chen, Vexali transmitted, we are a scout vessel. Surely we can discuss this matter diplomatically? Commander, came the reply. 3 minutes ago, your people opened fire on a clearly marked non-military installation. In human space, that's called an act of war. You now have 12 minutes to begin withdrawal. The mention of human space sent a chill through the bridge crew. They'd encountered dozens of species, but none had ever claimed ownership of entire regions of the galaxy with such casual authority. Krilta, Vexali hissed. Analyze their fleet composition, find a weakness. His science officer worked frantically, then looked up with pale membranes. Sir, I'm detecting vessels from at least 7 different design philosophies. It's as if they've taken the best aspects of multiple civilizations and improved them. What do you mean? Those angular ships appear to be based on Korath heavy cruiser designs, but they've somehow increased the power output by 300%. The sleek vessels resemble Altarian interceptors, except they're mounting capital ship-grade weapons. And those massive constructs... Krilta paused, checking his readings twice. Sir, those appear to be mobile shipyards. They're manufacturing additional vessels even as we watch. Admiral Chen's voice cut through their analysis. Commander, Vexali, our discussion time is over. You have 60 seconds to begin your withdrawal, or we will assume you are the advance force of an invasion fleet. Vexali's hands trembled as he reached for the communication controls. Everything about these humans suggested they were not bluffing. But retreat would mean admitting that a single scout ship had been intimidated by primitives. We withdraw, he finally transmitted. Wise choice, Chen replied. Commander, before you leave, understand something. That beacon you attacked wasn't just a warning system. It was a test. Every expanding civilization eventually finds one of our markers. How they react tells us everything we need to know about their intentions. As the whisper began its retreat, Vexali couldn't help but ask, What? What would you have done if we had refused to withdraw? The human's response was delivered in the same calm, professional tone, but the words chilled Vexali to his core. Commander, humanity spent 1,000 years learning to wage war against itself. We got very, very good at it. When we finally reached the stars, we discovered we were the only species that had needed to become experts at survival through violence. Every other civilization we've encountered became spacefaring through cooperation and peace. Chen paused, letting that sink in. You would have discovered why no one else in this galaxy builds ships the way we do. You would have learned why our first instinct when designing any technology is to ask, how can this be weaponized? You would have found out what happens when a species that evolved as persistence hunters decides your prey. As the Zephyrian ship fled through hyperspace, Vexali realized they hadn't encountered a primitive civilization at all. They had found something far more terrifying, a species that had turned war itself into an art form, and then carried that expertise to the stars. Behind them, the human fleet returned to whatever hidden dimensions they had emerged from, leaving only the beacon, now glowing blue once again, patiently waiting for the next species to make their choice.